Any conversation about supply chain really needs to begin with strategy. I guess that's true of just about anything in the business. But the supply chain needs to be a function of, or an extension of, the company's strategy of how they plan to go to market. Far too often, you go into companies and the supply chain concept is taken as a given, that someone made some decisions in the past, or it's how things are done in most companies or other companies, or how somebody did it in the past. And that really is completely unnecessary. It really is incredible how often you go into companies and they somehow believe that the only way to run a supply chain is by having a very forecast-dependent process that requires salespeople to predict with great accuracy what's going to happen at some point in the future. And then that all runs through some ERP system, generally with MRP kind of logic, that's going to go through a very complicated process of bringing in components and planning production based on that forecast. And the net result are lead times and inventory levels that really are the accumulation of all of the errors more than anything else. Unless forecasting is extremely accurate, which is rare, the result is misdeliveries or high inventory. One or the other, usually the higher inventory. Lead times are considered a product or a function of just the way things are. And salespeople are tasked with going out and selling factory lead times. That really needs to be flipped around. We really need to start with, what do the lead times need to be in order to achieve whatever the company's strategy is, its go-to-market strategy. That has to be very customer-driven and strategy-driven, and the entire supply chain should be constructed in order to meet those objectives. There are lots of different ways to construct a supply chain. MRP is certainly a valuable tool in some circumstances. More often, having some sort of a Kanban or a demand pull, at least partially, if not throughout the entire supply chain, is a better way to go. A lot of different ways to skin that supply chain cat, but it needs to start with senior management determining what are the results, what are the capabilities the supply chain needs to have in order to effectively implement the company strategy. And then for the supply chain professionals to take that and construct the most appropriate supply chain needed to meet those objectives. You can't have the tail wagging the dog by starting with how the factory thinks it ought to run, and then having sales and strategy tasked with taking those lead times and those results and somehow going out and foisting those upon the customer. That usually is a strategy for failure. Senior management needs to lead, not follow, when it comes to supply chain. Thank you for listening. If you would like to learn more, or if we can be of any help, you can visit us at www.bill-waddell.com. Follow me on Twitter at MFG Waddell, or you can find us on Facebook.